I didn't realize something was wrong at first. That's the terrifying part. There was no sudden noise, no jump scare, no moment where instinct screamed run. The forest was calm, too calm. I was already deep inside when it happened, when I felt it. Not fear, not danger, attention, the kind you feel when someone is watching you but doesn't want to be seen. I stopped walking. The leaves under my boots were still settling when I noticed something strange. The silence didn't return. Forests are never truly silent. Even at night, there's always something, wind brushing branches, insects clicking, distant movement. Here, nothing. It felt like the sound had been turned off, not faded away. That's when I knew the wolf was there. I didn't see it, I didn't hear it, I just knew. My breathing slowed on its own. My body reacted before my mind could catch up, like it had recognized a pattern my conscious thoughts hadn't. I turned my head slightly. Still nothing. No glowing eyes, no silhouette. Just trees stacked so tightly together they looked like walls. I kept walking. That was my first mistake. The second came minutes later when I realized something impossible. My footsteps were the only sound still allowed to exist. Each step landed too clearly, too sharply, like the forest was amplifying them, pinpointing my position. Then behind me, a pause. Not a sound. A delay. Like something had stopped when I stopped. I froze again. 5 seconds passed. 10. Nothing followed. And that's when the thought hit me. Predators don't chase immediately. They watch. They calculate. They follow. I took another step forward. Behind me, the forest adjusted, not with noise, but with pressure, like the air itself had shifted. Still no sound, still no shape, but the space behind me no longer felt empty. I whispered, barely moving my lips, "Just an animal, just a wolf." The words felt wrong the moment they left my mouth. Wolves don't erase silence, they don't bend it, and they don't follow without hunger. Minutes passed. I didn't look back again, because some instincts exist for a reason. If you turn around and see nothing, your mind relaxes. If you turn around and see something, your body panics. But if you turn around and see something that doesn't behave like anything you've ever known, your survival instincts break. So I walked, and the thing behind me walked too, always the same distance, never closer, never farther, not stalking, matching. That's when I noticed something else. The forest itself had changed direction. Not physically, no fallen trees, no visible path. But every time I tried to veer slightly left or right, my body corrected itself without conscious thought. Like I was being guided, or worse, allowed. The air smelled wrong now, not wet earth, not decay, metallic, sharp, like blood left too long in the open. My throat tightened. I finally stopped again, heart hammering, palms damp. This time, the pressure behind me didn't pause. It remained, steady, patient, and then, for the first time, I heard it breathe. Not a growl, not a snarl. A slow, deep intake of air, followed by an exhale that felt too controlled. Measured, as if it were practicing. Learning. I realized something in that moment that still haunts me. The wolf wasn't following me because it was deciding when to attack. It was following me because it was deciding what I was, and whether I was worth becoming familiar with. If you think this was just a normal encounter with a wild animal, if you believe this ends with a chase or a sudden attack, you're wrong. Because what followed me that night didn't want to kill me, it wanted to understand me, and once it did, it never needed to touch me at all. If you're still listening, subscribe now. Because what happens next is why I don't walk into forests alone anymore. I kept moving, but time stopped behaving the way it should have. Minutes stretched unnaturally, expanding into something thick and heavy. My watch was still working, yet every glance at it felt meaningless, as if the numbers had lost their authority over the night. The forest did not care how long I had been walking, it only cared that I continued. The presence behind me never rushed. It never hesitated either. It stayed constant, like a shadow that didn't need light to exist. I could feel it most clearly when my thoughts wandered. The moment my mind drifted away from it, the pressure increased, subtle but unmistakable, pulling my attention back like a leash. That's when I understood the following wasn't random, it was responsive. Whenever I slowed my pace, the air tightened. Whenever I quickened my steps, the sensation relaxed, as if speed didn't matter to it at all. Distance was irrelevant. Control was not. The forest floor began to change beneath my feet. The soil felt softer, almost sponge-like, swallowing sound instead of reflecting it. Fallen branches no longer snapped when I stepped on them. Leaves compressed silently, absorbing impact. Even my breathing felt muted, as if the air itself had grown thick enough to smother sound before it could travel. I realized then that the silence wasn't accidental. It was being maintained. At some point, I became aware of how tired my body should have been. My legs should have been burning, my lungs struggling, but none of that happened. Instead, there was a numb efficiency to my movement, as if my body had entered a state of compliance. I wasn't pushing myself forward anymore. I was being carried by momentum I didn't fully own. The forest began repeating itself, not visually, every tree was different, but spatially. I would pass a cluster of roots shaped like claws gripping the ground, then see the same formation again minutes later from a slightly different angle. A fallen trunk split down the middle appeared twice, then 3 times. It wasn't that I was walking in circles. It felt more like the forest was folding space inward. Behind me, the presence adjusted perfectly to each repetition. I tried to stop again, to force a confrontation, to break the pattern. The moment I halted, the pressure surged so violently that my chest tightened and my vision blurred. It wasn't threatening pain, it was corrective. Like touching a live wire designed to teach, not kill. The message was clear. Stopping was not allowed. So I walked, and with every step, the sense of being observed sharpened, not with eyes, but with something more analytical. I felt cataloged, measured, as if my movements, my breathing, my hesitation were all data points being stored somewhere just beyond perception. That's when the smell grew stronger. The metallic edge thickened, layered with something organic but unfamiliar. It wasn't decay. It wasn't rot. It was closer to the scent of an animal that had survived something it shouldn't have. Blood mixed with damp fur and cold stone. The realization hit slowly, but when it did, it was devastating. This wasn't a wolf that belonged here. It felt altered, not wounded, not sick, changed. The forest reacted to it differently than it reacted to me. Branches bent subtly inward as it moved. The air shifted around its mass, even though I couldn't see it. Whatever followed me didn't disturb the environment the way a normal creature would. It existed within the forest, not on top of it. And then, without warning, the rhythm changed. The steps behind me didn't grow louder or closer. Instead, they became irregular, not in timing, but in intent. The pressure behind me pulsed now, rising and falling in long intervals, like something thinking deeply between movements. I became painfully aware that the following had turned into positioning. The path ahead narrowed, though I hadn't noticed it doing so. Trees pressed closer together, their trunks forming a corridor that guided me forward with quiet inevitability. My shoulders brushed bark, my peripheral vision filled with vertical lines trapping my focus straight ahead. This was no longer wandering. This was direction. The presence behind me stopped for the first time since the following began. Not abruptly, deliberately. The sudden absence of pressure was worse than its presence. My balance faltered, my body instinctively leaning backward as if something essential had been removed from the air. The silence deepened further, becoming so complete it felt invasive. That was when I understood the most terrifying truth so far. The wolf had not been following me to decide whether to attack. It had been following me to decide where, and wherever I was being led, the forest itself had already agreed. I didn't turn around. I didn't run. I walked forward because everything in me knew that whatever waited ahead was not something I could outrun, and not something that needed to chase. The corridor tightened until the forest no longer felt accidental. Every step forward removed another option behind me. The trees weren't simply close together now. They leaned inward with intent, their branches forming jagged arches overhead. Moonlight fractured through the gaps, breaking into thin blades of pale light that shifted as I moved, never fully illuminating anything ahead. I had the unmistakable sensation that I was being delivered. The absence of footsteps behind me didn't mean the presence was gone. If anything, it felt closer, no longer trailing, no longer guiding, but observing from a position it had already secured. The pressure that once pushed me forward now hovered around me, surrounding rather than following. I could feel it in my spine. The path dipped downward, not steeply, but enough to change the air. Cold pooled here, heavy and damp, clinging to my skin like condensation. My breath fogged instantly, but the vapor didn't rise the way it should have. It sank instead, spilling downward and dissolving into the dark soil. That's when I noticed something deeply wrong. The forest wasn't breathing. There was no wind, no shifting leaves, no distant creaks of wood settling. The entire environment had entered a state of suspension, as if sound itself had been temporarily removed from circulation. My footsteps continued to make no noise at all, not even the dull compression of soil. The silence wasn't passive anymore. It was listening. Ahead, the trees parted abruptly, opening into a clearing that felt carved rather than grown. The ground here was bare, stripped of leaves and debris, exposing dark earth scored with deep, irregular grooves. They weren't random. They radiated outward from the center, claw marks, but far too large and far too deliberate. I slowed instinctively, every survival instinct screaming for caution. The moment my pace dropped, the pressure returned, not behind me this time, but above. My ears rang softly, a low-frequency hum vibrating through my skull, forcing me to keep moving. The clearing wanted me inside it. As I stepped fully into the open space, the forest sealed itself behind me, branches interlocked, trunks shifted imperceptibly, eliminating the corridor I had come through. I didn't hear it happen. I simply knew the exit no longer existed. This was the chosen location. The smell intensified instantly, iron-heavy animal and something else beneath it that my mind struggled to categorize. It reminded me of rain hitting hot metal, mixed with the faint bitterness of ozone, the scent of energy spent and restrained. Then the ground changed. The soil beneath my boots felt warmer here, almost alive. Each step caused a subtle vibration like distant thunder trapped underground. I had the horrifying impression that the clearing wasn't just a place, but a mechanism. That was when the presence finally moved. Not from behind me, from the edge of the clearing. The pressure shifted laterally, sliding along my peripheral vision without entering it. My instincts begged me to turn, but something stronger held my neck rigid. My gaze locked forward as if rotation itself had been temporarily disabled. I could feel the mass now, not visually but physically displacing air, bending space in subtle ways. The temperature dropped sharply on one side of my body while the other remained warm, creating a stark divide that traced the outline of something enormous just out of sight. The forest responded instantly. Branches dipped, shadows thickened. The clearing darkened as if light itself was being rationed. And then I heard it. Not a growl, not a breath. A low, resonant vibration that didn't originate from a throat but from a chest. Deep, steady, controlled. It wasn't threatening, it was assessing. I realized with sickening clarity that this creature did not communicate through sound. It communicated through presence. The vibration intensified briefly and images flooded my mind without permission. Not memories, evaluations, distances, angles, my weight, my reaction time, the structural integrity of my bones under force. I wasn't being hunted, I was being processed. The pressure tightened once more, compressing the clearing inward. I could feel the wolf now, not as an animal, but as a form defined by restraint. Every instinct told me that if it fully revealed itself, the environment would not survive the transition. The forest wasn't hiding it. The forest was containing it. The vibration ceased suddenly. The silence that followed was so absolute it felt like standing inside a vacuum. My heart hammered violently in my chest, the only sound still allowed to exist. And then slowly, deliberately, something shifted at the edge of my vision. A shape began to separate itself from shadow, not fully, not yet, but enough for my mind to grasp its outline. Too tall, too still, too aware. I knew then that the next moment, whenever it chose to arrive, would permanently divide my life into before and after. And the wolf had finally decided it was time to be seen. The moment the shape began to resolve, the forest reacted as if it had reached the limit of what it was designed to hold. The shadows didn't retreat. They compressed, folding inward around the figure emerging from them. Light bent unnaturally, sliding across a surface that refused to reflect it properly. My eyes struggled to focus, not because it was dark, but because whatever stood there disrupted depth itself. The wolf stepped forward, not lunging, not stalking, stepping, slow, deliberate, controlled. Its movement carried weight beyond mass. The ground responded with a dull, restrained tremor, as though the earth itself had been warned not to fracture. Each step pressed a visible distortion into the air like heat haze frozen in place, outlining a form that was unmistakably lupine and utterly wrong. It was larger than scale allowed. Its shoulders rose higher than my head, yet its posture was perfectly balanced, almost elegant. The legs were thick with coiled power, joints aligned with mathematical precision rather than animal chaos. Its fur absorbed light instead of reflecting it, a deep matte darkness streaked with faint silver patterns that shifted subtly as it moved, like muscle fibers visible beneath skin. But the eyes, The eyes were not reflective. They emitted no glow. They were voids, perfect focused absences that locked onto me with an intensity so complete it felt like gravity had changed direction. My chest tightened, breath stalling halfway in as if my lungs had momentarily forgotten their function. The evaluation resumed, not as images this time, but as sensation. Pressure traced my outline, mapping me layer by layer: skin, muscle, bone, intent, fear, resolve. Every internal state felt exposed, cataloged without judgment or haste. I tried to step back. My foot wouldn't move, not frozen by fear, but by something external. The soil around my boots had hardened, binding me in place without resistance or sound. The wolf hadn't touched me, yet the environment itself had chosen a side. The clearing belonged to it. The wolf lowered its head slightly, not in aggression, but alignment. Its gaze leveled with mine, and the distance between us collapsed, not physically, but perceptually. The world beyond the clearing blurred into irrelevance. There was only the space between us, stretched thin and trembling under invisible tension. The vibration returned, stronger now. It rolled through my ribcage, synchronizing briefly with my heartbeat before overriding it entirely. My pulse adjusted unwillingly, slowing, matching the rhythm imposed upon it. Panic flared, but was immediately suppressed, flattened under a calm that wasn't mine. This wasn't dominance, it was calibration. The wolf circled me once, never breaking eye contact. As it moved, the shadows followed, dragged like obedient extensions of its body. I could see the full length of it now, tail long and heavy, sweeping the air without sound. Claws partially retracted, not for safety but restraint. It stopped directly in front of me, close enough that I could feel the heat radiating from its core, sharp and focused, unlike any animal warmth I'd known. The scent intensified again, iron, ozone, damp earth, but now there was clarity beneath it, intelligence, age, continuity. This thing had existed long before the forest learned how to grow around it. The wolf raised its head and opened its mouth. No sound emerged. Instead, the pressure surged inward, collapsing every thought I had into a single, overwhelming awareness. This moment mattered. Images slammed into my mind, not visions of the past or future, but probabilities, pathways branching endlessly, most of them ending abruptly. Fractures, silence, erasure. Only a few paths continued forward, all of them passed through the wolf. I realized then that this encounter was not accidental, nor was it a test of strength or courage. It was a threshold. The forest was not a hunting ground, it was a filter. The wolf leaned closer, its breath brushing my face without warmth or moisture, carrying a sensation rather than air. My vision darkened at the edges as the pressure peaked, threatening to collapse me inward. Then it stopped. The vibration cut off instantly, leaving a ringing void in its absence. The soil loosened around my boots. My heartbeat staggered, struggling to reclaim its own rhythm. The wolf stepped back half a pace, its posture shifting subtly. Not retreat, reassessment. One massive paw lifted slowly and pressed into the earth between us. The ground responded immediately, the grooves in the clearing lighting faintly beneath the surface, connecting into a vast pattern I hadn't seen before. A sigil, ancient, intentional, alive. The wolf's eyes flicked briefly to it, then back to me. Understanding settled into my bones like cold certainty. This was not the end of the encounter, this was permission. And whatever came next would require more than survival. It would require choice. The sigil beneath us faded slowly, not vanishing but sinking back into the earth as if the forest itself had memorized the moment. The air loosened, sound returning in fragments. The distant creak of trees, the faint rustle of leaves reclaiming their freedom. The wolf stepped back, just one step. Yet the distance it created felt immense, like the release of a held breath that had lasted centuries. The pressure that had pinned my thoughts in place receded, leaving behind an echo, a lingering awareness that something fundamental had shifted inside me. Its eyes never left mine, but the void within them had changed. Where there had been pure assessment, there was now alignment, not approval, not trust, recognition. The wolf turned its head slightly, angling its body toward the deeper forest. The shadows responded immediately, peeling away from the clearing and opening a narrow corridor between the trees. It was not a path meant to be seen often nor followed lightly, an invitation without promise. The realization settled in with quiet certainty. I could walk away. Nothing bound me now. No force held my feet. No pressure clouded my mind. The forest would allow my retreat, erase my presence, close the clearing as if I had never stood there at all. But walking away would not undo what had already happened. I had been measured and found sufficient. The wolf took another step into the darkness, then stopped. Its tail swept once through the air, disturbing nothing, signaling no urgency. It was patient because it did not need to be anything else. Time, here, obeyed different rules. I took a breath, then another, and stepped forward. The moment my foot crossed the threshold of shadow, the forest responded. The corridor narrowed, the trees leaning inward, sealing the choice behind me. The clearing vanished, swallowed without sound, without memory. The wolf moved ahead now, silent and unhurried, not leading, allowing me to follow. As we passed deeper into the forest, the darkness thickened, not oppressive, but deliberate. The world I knew felt distant, irrelevant, like a story already concluded. Ahead lay something unnamed, something vast enough to reshape purpose itself. The wolf glanced back once, just once, and in that brief look I understood the final truth of the encounter. This forest was not where monsters hunted. It was where they were chosen. And once chosen, you never truly leave.